Hi there. Today I'm going to set up my gouache palette. I've got another lidded palette, the same as my Frank Webb palette. This is my Frank Webb watercolor palette. I've got one for gouache as well, and I just cleaned it out yesterday because it was full of really dry caked paint because I hadn't got around to painting gouache for a long time. So New Year's resolution, I want to get my gouache paints out. The main reason is because I've got these tubes which are almost full, and you know they can tend to go off if you keep them for too many years. So I'm just going to spray a little bit of moisture into the back of each of these wells, so when I squirt the paint in, it will sit on a moist film, and you know will sort of stop it from caking even more. All right. So I'm just going to squirt these colours out and call them out, gorgeous colours. This is Bengal Rose. That's a really pretty, let me just zoom in on that, sort of cerise pink, a lovely one there. Yeah. Then we've got, right, this is magenta. So some of that. I love gouache. I find it a really playful medium compared to watercolour. Watercolour is sort of like quite, you know, intense and technical, whereas gouache is a lot more forgiving and more playful. I find it's a really nice antidote to using watercolour, although watercolour is my favourite because it's transparent. I like gouache because it gives a chalky effect, and that's really different. And of course you can paint, you know, light colours on top of dark, which you can't really do in watercolour. So it gives you a different options, a different way of working, and a different look. And another thing that's good about gouache is it's great for reproducing, you know, in print form. That's why a lot of, you know, obviously designers use it, and that's why it's called Designers Gouache. Now this burnt sienna is really hardened in the tube. I had to squirt that, press that really hard to get it out. So I'm glad to be using these because I don't want them to be wasted because they're very expensive. These are the Winsor Newton range. They're Winsor Newton Designers Gouache, professional quality, and they are gorgeous. So I want to get some use out of these. You'll notice that I haven't got, just zoom in on those colours there, you can see those colours. I haven't got a tube of black because I don't use black at all. I'll just mix two darks from, say, a brown and a blue. I don't like black, I think it kills everything, but that's just my personal taste. But I do use white, which I love. I love mixing white with reds and getting gorgeous soft pinks and getting a nice contrast within a hue, you know. So say start off with a dark blue and add incrementally more and more white, and then you easily get all these lovely tones and hues in between the darkest blue and then white. So I just enjoy experimenting with it in that way. And here are some of the greens, if I just zoom in on those. Really lovely colours. My favourite colour is coming up in a second. I'll just squirt this. This is permanent middle green. There are more colours in the range. I haven't got every single one, but I've got enough, you know. You can have too many, can't you? So this is my favourite colour, which is Cobalt Turquoise Light. Sorry, there it is. And it's this really lovely, it just reminds me of Greek islands, if I zoom in on that. It's gorgeous, isn't it? I just love that. It reminds me of sea foam, you know, surf on the beach, and Greek islands, as I say. It just reminds me of that. I've been on holiday there once or twice, and love the simplicity of the buildings, the white buildings, and then they've got these blue rooftops, some of the churches, haven't they? So brings back nice memories there. And then last of all in this is a Winsor Violet. I'm squeezing from the base of the tube, you know, just to get most of it out. And then I've got a few spare gaps, so I'll squirt in my white into there, because I'll be using a lot of white. And so I'm ready to roll. So the next video that I'll be doing about gouache will be a little sort of demo of something simple. And I'll probably show you a couple of my small gouache paintings that I've done. But basically it's playtime. This is what I use for playtime and loosening up and messing about. And it's good to do that instead of constantly, you know, trying to paint a full picture from start to finish, you know, and not allowing your creative side to have a play. So thanks for watching. Bye for now. I did forget to say, once I've squirted all the colours in, I always give them a little blast one more time with a fine water spray, just to, you know, ensure they've got moist film all over them and they don't dry out. And I'd repeat that about every third day. Just take the lid off and give them a spray and keep them moist. Okay, so I'm putting the lid on now until I'm ready to paint. Thanks for watching. Hello, today I'm going to do some mini abstracts using gouache paint. So first of all, I've just got a piece of paper that's been left over from another painting I did. I've masked out the edges and some bars in between to make 3 little minis with masking tapes, so I've made a nice white edge all around. So when I've done the paintings and I peel the tape off, you know, they've got a nice white edge that I can just stick them on a card then, you know, make a nice little card out of them. So I'm going to wet the paper. I've got a big 1.5 inch brush there. I've really soaked it, tapped it gently on the bottom to disperse all the air bubbles. Make sure you do that with your watercolour brushes, okay, otherwise it doesn't absorb all the paint very well. Then I scrape off the excess and I wipe the handle, you know, wipe the shaft, so that no beads of water run down and go sploosh and ruin everything. Then I re-wet just the hairs, like that, just the hairs, okay. It's all about water management, isn't it, watercolour? If you get sploshy with it and you want a sploshy look, that's great, but if you don't want beads of water running down at an inopportune moment, don't do it. Wipe the handle and then just dip the hairs in and you'll be safe that way. So I'm just wetting the paper. This is 140 pounds 300 GSM cold pressed paper. It's 100% cotton rag, gorgeous paper. It's Saunders Waterford, but any 100% cotton rag paper will do you fine. So I'm just going to let that soak in a little minute. Then while that's soaking in, I'm going to my lovely freshly filled gouache palette now, and I fancy going for this lovely turquoise, cobalt turquoise colour. I think that's just so beautiful, so pretty. And I'm going to paint that all over this one, and maybe a bit of that one and a bit of that one. So I'm just getting some turquoise blue in an abstract way painted on there. That might dry out a bit thin because I'm painting onto wet paper, so I'm just adding more pigment now, getting some more, giving it a little mix on the palette like that, and then let's have some more there. Okay, then I'm going to rinse my brush, rinse that all out really well, banging it gently on the base again to get everything off. And once more, sorry to be a fusspot about this, drying the handle again. Okay, then re-dip in the water, and I fancy picking up a bit of this linden green. This is a gorgeous, well, it's like a pistachio green, but it's brighter. It's got a high sort of chroma, you know, it's quite bright. So it's a very bright pea green, grass green, and I love this colour too. So I'm just going with my gut for now. I'm picking the colours, yeah, I love that. The colours that are really just calling out to me, and I'm putting a bit here and there, and trying to make the application irregular, so I don't want the same amount of paint, you know, colour in each third. I want them all slightly different. So in fact, I'm going to load up with some more linden green and make this one a bit more green than it is blue, for example. You know, this is a little bit samey. There's the same amount of green as there is blue, so I'm going to make it more green than blue there, and same with that one. Okay, so I've changed the balance, the dominant colour. Dominance is one of the elements of design. In each one now, the linden green is dominating rather than my initial cobalt turquoise. Okay, so I'm going to stop there now. Oh gosh, in fact, they all look exactly the same, don't they? This one looks like this one, looks like this one. Okay, right, I needed to remedy that. I'm not happy with that at all. So I'll rinse my brush really well again. Shake off the excess, dry it. And I'm going to just pick white now. I think it's gouache. I think it's titanium white, I'm not sure. Any one of the gouache whites is fine. I want some of this now to change the balance here. So let's get some white in that one. As you can see, it combines readily with the paint that's already on there. So I've chopped it up a bit now, so this one's got a different shape to that one, and in fact I might go for a bit of white spatter as well. So I'm loading up. I'll need a bit of moisture for it to spatter, otherwise it won't come off the brush. So I'm just picking up some moisture beads that are in an empty well next door. Give it a good mush. And this is where things get messy, and I could get it everywhere, but I just want to get, yeah, that's it, some nice spatter going over that. And I'm going to stop there and let it all dry, and then I'll see you back in part 2. Good morning. I'm just going to get underway now with finishing off these 3 mini abstracts in gouache that I started yesterday. They're bone dry, and you know, they've got a bit of a mix of linden green and turquoise blue. Just going to get a little candle going. I'm a devil for candles. I love candles going when I'm working. I try to put it out of harm's way. Let me just get my little holder. And sometimes a little bit of incense is nice as well, isn't it? You know, if you want to sort of create a nice mood. I don't always do it, but sometimes I fancy it, and I do today. So I'm just getting a little bit of this is sandalwood incense, and this is really nice. It's a natural one, no synthetic materials in it. So, just getting that in there. There you go. So what I've got today is a lino cutting roller. I'll try and move that smoke because it might be in the way of the camera lens. Right, so there. This is a lino cutting roller, and it's a great one because it unscrews from the handle, which means, you know, you haven't got to let it rest like that in the drawer for any length of time, which could, you know, damage the surface and make the surface slightly uneven, which you really don't want with lino cutting. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop in a few blobs of colour from my gouache palette randomly onto this. And it's going to be a quick matter of then just rolling the blobs out and seeing what we get. And that'll be the end then of my little abstract foray. Okay, so I'm going to keep the colours sort of in the blue-green mix. So I'm just going to pop a bit of that blue there. Maybe a bit of French ultramarine blue there. And maybe I'll pick up a bit of green there. I have no idea what this is going to do. Okay, this is total, you know, seat of my pants stuff. but I want to have a play. Sometimes people might say, well, that's a real waste of paint. Well, no, it isn't, because what I'll do then, if it doesn't turn out the way I quite like it, then I'll just cut them up into little abstract cards, you know. And let's have some white as well. I'll just make them into abstract cards. I'll cut them up, stick them on cards, and those cards then will be used and given to people. So it's not a waste, right? And, you know, so I'm doing that. Then I just want to throw in a colour that would be completely at the opposite side of the wheel to those. Here it is. Right, so here's my colour wheel. Okay, so all those colours are sort of at the top here, aren't they? Right, so between green and yellow. So opposite those, straight through the middle of the circle, are violets, violets and magentas. Right, so let's just add a little bit of some violet and a bit of magenta as accents, not as main colours. Right. So I don't know, let's just put that in there. That's a magenta. I think there might be a bit of violet, Winsor violet, which is a very strong colour. Okay, so I've got all of those on there now. So I'm going to place, this is just one of those sleeves, you know, that you put A4 pieces of paper in. So I can wash this and reuse it, right? So I'm trying to make sure I waste a lot less this year in art. Okay. So just rolling that out. Ooh, that's strange. Okay, strange, and I like it. Let's roll this one this away, and maybe let's roll it, you know, diagonally. So we get some really nice, unusual shapes here. I'm just going to roll this magenta down inwards, take it off. Oh, I'm loving that. Okay, then just roll it this away. Right, I think that's the sort of maximum extent of the roll there, right? I think I've rolled it to as far as it'll go. Let's just try it up this way to make sure I get enough. Oh yeah, it's going a bit more now. Okay, so it's mixing a little bit. So I'm going to peel that off for a second. Yes, okay. And now I've got this on here, right? So I'll just put this down on it like that, so it's slightly different, and I might just drag it. Oh yeah, it's got some friction going there, so I'll just press it in so it gets some friction, and I'm just going to drag it. I'm keeping it really low to the paper. Let's see what that does, just dragging it millimetre by millimetre. What I might end up with is some really nice abstract cards doing this, you know, be great. Because this is something you can't plan, you know, I don't know what it's going to do. And sometimes it's very good for your inner child to have a play around with no purpose in mind, with no goal in mind, just mucking about with colour, right? Ooh, that's strange, isn't it? Right, so I think I'm just going to stop. I can rinse that off so I won't waste that. What I fancy now, I'm going to stop in a minute, because the pièce de résistance is when we pull off the masking tape on the sides and then we get nice white crisp edges. But first of all, I really fancy some flicks of neat magenta now. So I'm going back in here, pick up some of this magenta. I've got a bit of water with it, so it should flop off my brush quite well. Okay, this is where everything gets spattered again now, so a bit of magenta on there. I don't really like these streaky lines that I've got there, but hey ho. Right, so I'm going to stop there now. So I'm just going to hair dry it and then I'll peel off the white tape. Okay, so I've changed my mind. I've decided I want to add a few circular shapes, and I've got this little plastic pot. It's for putting jewellery in or small amounts of paint. And I'm going to use this rim and dip it in the turquoise, like that. And then just press it in. Oh yeah, sort of part on, part off, you know. In some places maybe have some overlapping. I just fancied it needed something like that. Again, just go with hunches, and why not? Oh, I missed that. Do that one again. I'll go on top of that one. Okay. Right, I think I'm going to stop there and see what it looks like now. You know, you can go on and on, go on as long as you like, but I'm going to stop purely for time because these videos take ages to upload. All right, so I'm just going to start peeling off now the masking tape that I put on. So peeling it off. Oh, some of it seeped underneath. That's a shame. Never mind. Not too bad. Pull off this one, this middle one. Yeah, so that separates that one nicely. With a nice white edge, you know, it gives you a different finish, doesn't it? And they're ready then to cut and stick on a blank white card. So you can have 3 little mini abstract cards to give or send to people for different occasions. You know, instead of buying the shop-bought, mass-produced, computer-generated cards, which I absolutely hate. But that's my opinion. Okay. Right, well, I like them. I'm not in love with them, but I like them as just a way of exploring ideas and things. So I will cut them up, and I might add a few more sort of, you know, just random dabs here and there, whatever, just to chop it up. So I'm holding the brush really flat, and yeah. I like them a bit more now. I feel like they're sort of like little planets in a galaxy flying through space. Okay, so I hope you've just enjoyed that. It's just an idea of playtime, and there's no waste because I will cut them up. And even I could cut them up smaller. I could cut them up in half. But then I would need to mount them on a different colour board because I wouldn't have a white edge on the new cut. So that's a way of doing it, okay? So thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello back. I'm just showing you the finished products now. I'm liking them a bit more because I've decided to put them on a different coloured background. So this one's on a dark blue, that's a pale blue, and that's a pink. I cut the white edging off because it was a bit messy. It wasn't as crisp as I'd hoped. So I've got these now, and I'm a bit happy with them. I've just stuck them on with Pritt Stick. And what you can do as well is just as a sort of creative exercise is I like to take them and just look at them through a viewfinder. It's just a piece of card. You can get them in different colours, mount board, you know, with a shape cut out. And then lay that on there. And, you know, you've got a little mini abstract there, haven't you? Right, and I like to just take it around the picture for a walk and see what other abstract shapes I can find that I like. And if I really like one, you know, I can try and replicate that. It's just, you know, giving your eye a little exercise in possibilities. If you work realistically all the time, this is a nice way to think about abstract work. You know, it's quite a nice one. And on it goes, okay? So it's just another little part of my creative process that I like to use. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Oh, last of all, these are the squares that I painted. You know, I used up all the paint that was left on the palette. So now I've got the basis for maybe doing some little drawings, little sketches on those, having them as little minis as well. So waste not, want not. There's something on the, as an old pepper. Okay, so thanks for watching. Bye for now.